I met him when I was 24. It wasn't love at first sight. It was something quieter, steadier. We met at a friend's birthday party, seated next to each other at a long table filled with half-eaten appetizers and sticky cocktail glasses. He made a dry comment about the music being too loud. I laughed, and that was it. Joey wasn't the flashiest guy in the room. He wasn't the tallest or the funniest. But he had this way of making eye contact that made you feel like you were the only person that existed. He was calm, charming, but not in the way that made you feel suspicious. It felt safe, easy. We started dating a few weeks later. At first, it was all the usual stuff: late-night phone calls, weekend road trips, the kind of relationship that feels like a gentle exhale after years of breath-holding. He was 7 years older, 31. Had a career, a nice apartment, a rescued greyhound named Bowie. I was still figuring things out, bouncing between freelance gigs, not quite sure what adult was supposed to look like, but being with him made it easier. He made life feel less like a question mark. I remember asking him early on, half-jokingly, if he wanted kids someday. We were only 3 months in, lying on the couch, my head on his chest, watching some documentary neither of us were really paying attention to. "Someday," he said without hesitation. "Not now, but eventually." "Yeah." That was enough for me. Someday. It became a kind of anchor. Every time someone got engaged or had a baby or posted ultrasound photos on social media, I'd feel the tug, the longing, and I'd remind myself, someday. We moved in together after 2 years, bought a house a year after that. He proposed just before my 29th birthday, on a foggy November morning in a park we used to walk through on weekends. It wasn't grand, no photographers hiding in the bushes, no skywriting, just him shaking slightly, asking me to keep choosing him. And I did. God, I did. The wedding was beautiful, small, intimate, candlelit. I wore my mother's veil. He cried during the vows. Everyone said we looked like the kind of couple you put on a greeting card. I waited 6 months after the wedding to bring it up again. "Kids." He looked at me and said, "Not yet. Let's just enjoy this for a while, okay?" And I said, "Okay." Because what's a while, really? A year? 2? We were still young, still building, but somewhere deep inside, I felt the first ripple of anxiety, a feeling like a clock had started ticking, even if no one else could hear it yet. I didn't want to pressure him. I didn't want to become the nagging wife stereotype. So I waited. And waited. Another year passed. We traveled. We hosted dinner parties. We remodeled the kitchen. Our life looked beautiful on paper, polished, Instagrammable. But I kept seeing babies everywhere, in grocery stores, in strollers at brunch, on my friends' timelines. And I'd glance over at him, laughing, sipping wine, utterly content, and wondered, is he still waiting? Or is he hoping I'll stop asking? I brought it up again on our anniversary. We were in a restaurant, candles flickering between us, clinking champagne glasses. "I've been thinking," I said softly, "about starting a family." His smile faded. "Now?" he asked. "Already?" "We've been married for 2 years. "Exactly," he said. "Just 2. Let's not rush this. I still don't feel ready." I tried to hide the sting. "Okay," I said. "Just, when do you think you will be?" He shrugged. "I don't know. When it feels right." And just like that, someday started to feel more like never. I didn't tell anyone. Not at first. Because to the outside world, we were perfect. Because part of me was ashamed to admit that we wanted different things. But the loneliness crept in, not just the kind where you're by yourself, but the kind where you're lying next to someone every night, and they don't see the version of life you're quietly aching for. I found myself crying in the shower, in the car, little moments of grief that felt too ridiculous to name. I was grieving a life we hadn't even tried for yet. Every time I tried to talk about it, he'd say the same thing. "Why are you in such a hurry? You're young. Let's wait until things are more stable." He always had a reason. Until one day I ran out of patience. I was 33. My best friend had just given birth to her second child. I held that baby in my arms and something in me cracked wide open. I went home that night and asked him point blank, "Do you still want kids?" He paused. That pause was everything. It wasn't thoughtful. It wasn't careful. It was evasive. "I don't know," he finally said. "Maybe I never really did. I just thought I was supposed to." And there it was. The truth. A decade of someday gone in a single sentence. I sat down on the edge of the bed and whispered, "Why didn't you just tell me?" "I didn't want to lose you," he said, and I thought maybe I'd change. But he didn't. And now, neither could I, because I still wanted them. The late-night feedings, the messy mornings, the chaos, the joy. All of it. I wanted a family, and I was married to a man who didn't. After that night, something in the air between us changed. It wasn't loud, no big blow-up, no door slamming or screaming matches, just a shift, a subtle, painful quiet. He still kissed me good morning, still made coffee, still texted me, heading home soon, but the warmth was gone, like a light had gone out behind his eyes, or maybe mine. I slept facing the opposite wall. I stopped bringing up anything related to children. I stopped bringing up anything at all, really. And he didn't try. Maybe we both knew, without saying it, that we had reached the fork in the road. What people don't talk about is what it means to love someone deeply and still have to walk away. Not because they cheated, not because they were cruel, but because you realized that staying would mean betraying yourself. I started therapy a few weeks later. Quietly, no announcement. I'd go on Wednesday evenings, tell him I had a late meeting, and then sit in a softly lit office talking about dreams I hadn't let myself say out loud in years. My therapist asked me a question that wrecked me. If nothing changed, could you live with that? I wanted to say yes. I wanted to say I could let go of the dream, that love was enough, that having him was enough. But I couldn't, because I already knew what it felt like to hold a baby that wasn't mine and wish it was. To look at a stroller in a park and imagine the tiny socks I would have picked. To press my hand to my lower stomach and wonder when it would finally be more than just a silent wish. He knew I was pulling away. He started coming home earlier, cooking more, planning weekend getaways, little gestures, Band-Aids. But he never said the one thing I needed to hear. Let's try. Not even, let's try later. Just nothing. And I think that was his way of answering without saying the words again. The silence filled in the blanks. One night, we were sitting on the couch watching a movie. I can't remember what it was. Some thriller, something with explosions. I turned to him, and out of nowhere I said, "I think I need time." He paused the movie. "What does that mean?" "I think I need space to figure out what I want, and if I can live without it." "You mean kids?" I nodded. He stared at the screen for a long time, the movie frozen on a car mid-air. "I don't want to lose you," he said again. "I know," I whispered, "but I'm already losing myself." That's the part that breaks people, when staying becomes a betrayal, not of the other person, but of the person you're trying to become. He didn't fight me on it. We decided I would move out for a few months. We told our friends we were taking a pause, a break, trying to gain clarity. But in my gut, I already knew. This wasn't a pause. It was a prelude. I moved into a furnished sublet downtown. It was small, smelled like lavender and old books, and the water pressure sucked. But it was mine. Every morning I'd wake up and look around, still surprised I was really alone, really on my own again. After almost a decade of being someone's partner, it felt like a breakup with a ghost. No one did anything wrong. There was no villain. And that's what made it harder. People kept asking me what happened. What went wrong? Did he cheat? Was it something big? And I'd just shake my head and say, we wanted different things. They'd nod politely, but I could see the confusion in their eyes. Because that kind of ending doesn't make sense to most people. Why would you walk away from someone who loves you? But the truth is, love isn't enough if you have to abandon your dreams to keep it. A month into the separation, I saw him at a mutual friend's birthday. He looked good. Tired, but good. We made small talk. Caught up. It was civil, polite, like strangers with a shared memory. But the moment that gutted me was when someone asked him, half-jokingly, if he missed having someone to binge bad reality TV with. He laughed and said, "Of course. No one's ever made me laugh like she did." I smiled, nodded, excused myself to the bathroom and cried for 15 minutes straight, because he still loved me, and I still loved him. But love had started to feel like a cage. 2 weeks later, I made the decision. I emailed my therapist, I emailed my lawyer, and then I emailed him. I didn't have the strength to do it in person. The subject line was simple: "I think it's time." His reply was even simpler: "I know." They say grief comes in waves. That's true, but they don't tell you that some days it's not a wave at all. It's the whole ocean sitting on your chest while the rest of the world goes on like nothing happened. I thought the hardest part would be the leaving. But no, the hardest part came afterward, the days when no one called to check in because it wasn't a real breakup. The nights when I reached for the other side of the bed without thinking and found nothing but cold sheets. We never had the explosive end that people gossip about. No screaming in the rain, no tearful airport scene, just a mutual unraveling. That made it harder to mourn, because I kept wondering if I'd made it all up, if I'd overreacted, if love should have been enough. For months, I questioned everything. I still had the photos, hundreds of them. Trips, holidays, lazy Sundays with the dog curled up between us. They lived on my phone like ghosts. I couldn't delete them, not yet. What hurt the most was how kind he was in the end. I've heard horror stories of bitter divorces and custody battles and financial sabotage, but that wasn't us. He signed the papers quietly. No fights, no dragging it out. He even sent flowers the day the decree finalized. The card just said, "Thank you for everything. I'm sorry I couldn't be what you needed." And somehow, that made it worse. Because now I had no villain to blame. Just the hollow ache of loving someone who didn't want what you wanted. I tried to date. God, did I try. Apps, blind setups, random run-ins at bookstores that turned into lukewarm coffee dates. Everyone wanted to talk about their jobs, their exes, their favorite sushi spots. No one wanted to talk about grief, or regret, or the impossible choice of walking away from someone who still held your heart. Until I met Jamie. He was different. Not in the love-at-first-sight way, more like love-at-first-calm. He wasn't flashy, he didn't have a 6-figure job or an Instagram-worthy apartment. But he listened, really listened. On our third date, I told him about the separation, about wanting children, about everything. I expected him to shift in his seat, check his watch, mumble something about needing to be up early, but instead he asked, "What would her name have been?" And just like that, I started to cry in the middle of a Thai restaurant. He didn't try to fix it, didn't offer cliches, just passed me a napkin and waited. We dated for 6 months, slow, gentle, real. He never promised anything, never said, "I'll give you a baby," or "I'll make it all better." He just made space for my grief, held it like it was sacred. And for a while, I thought maybe, this was it. The second chance. The reward for all the heartbreak. Until he said something I'll never forget. We were sitting on his porch one night, stars overhead, my head on his shoulder. "I've been thinking," he said. "Maybe I don't want kids either." The words hit like ice water. What? I mean, I thought I did, but the more I think about it, I like my freedom. I like us. I like not having to be responsible for someone else's whole life. My mouth went dry. "But I told you." "I know," he said quickly, "and I'm not saying never. Just maybe not now, or maybe not at all." And just like that, I felt the familiar crack begin again. Because I'd already been here, already loved someone who wasn't sure, already silenced my wants to make room for someone else's uncertainty. I went home that night and sat on the floor of my apartment for hours, not crying, just staring, because I realized something brutal. Hope can be just as dangerous as fear. Hope keeps you waiting, keeps you quiet, keeps you thinking, maybe one day, even when every part of your body is screaming, "Not again." Jamie didn't do anything wrong. He was honest, but honesty doesn't make it hurt less. I ended it the next morning. No anger, no dramatic speech, just a quiet, "I can't go through this again." He nodded, and then he let me go. That was the moment I decided I wouldn't wait anymore. Not for a man, not for permission, not for some perfect moment to finally become a mother. I booked an appointment with a fertility specialist the next day, because maybe I wouldn't meet someone, maybe I'd do it alone, maybe it would be hard and scary and expensive, but at least it would be mine. At least I'd stop asking other people for the life I was brave enough to want, and that felt like the beginning of something, not the end. They don't tell you how much paperwork it takes to become a mother when you're alone. There are packets, disclaimers, legal waivers. You sign forms acknowledging your age, your risks, your likelihood of failure. You check boxes admitting there's no guarantee this will work, no one to sue if it doesn't, no refunds on heartbreak. You sit in a sterile office while a woman with soft eyes asks if you're emotionally prepared for single parenthood. You answer yes, even if you're not sure. Because what's the alternative? I was 37th, healthy, financially stable, no known fertility issues. On paper, I was a strong candidate, and yet, every part of me felt like I was auditioning for a life I should have already had. I remember sitting in the clinic bathroom the first time I gave myself a hormone injection. My hands were shaking so badly I dropped the needle twice. It was late. I'd just gotten home from work. The overhead lights buzzed, my dog barked in the other room. And there I was, alone in my apartment, pants halfway down, whispering, "You can do this," to myself while stabbing my own stomach. Not exactly how I imagined the road to motherhood would look, but I did it. Every day. For 2 weeks. Then came the ultrasounds. The blood draws, the waiting, follicle counts, hormone levels, egg retrieval dates. It was clinical, repetitive, almost boring. Until it wasn't. On the morning of my retrieval, I woke up at 5:30 a.m. The world was still dark. I packed a small bag and headed to the clinic. I was nervous, but hopeful. I'd made it this far. I kept telling myself, this is the start of your family. They retrieved 11 eggs, 9 were mature, 7 fertilized, 4 made it to day 5, 4. That's all I had. 4 embryos frozen in time, my future, suspended in nitrogen, waiting for me to be ready. When I got the call, I cried, not because it wasn't enough, but because it was something. Because I had waited years for someone else to want this with me, and now, finally, I was doing it. On my terms. My doctor suggested waiting a month before my first transfer to let my body reset. I filled the time with long walks, therapy sessions, yoga. I even took myself on a weekend getaway to the mountains and stood at the edge of a cliff and screamed until my throat burned. It felt good, like shedding skin, like letting go of the version of me that always waited for permission, for love, for someone to choose me. I didn't need to be chosen anymore. I was choosing myself. The day of the embryo transfer was oddly quiet. No fanfare, no flowers, just a quick procedure in a dim room with a screen showing a glowing white dot being placed into my womb. "That's your baby," the nurse whispered, smiling. I blinked. My baby. I didn't feel pregnant. I didn't feel anything, really, just numb, hopeful, terrified. The next 10 days were the longest of my life. I Googled every symptom, every twinge, every possible sign of success or failure. I told no one, not my sister, not my co-workers, not even my closest friend. I didn't want the pressure, the pity, the well-meaning but devastating "I'm praying for you" texts. I took a pregnancy test on day 9. It was negative. I stared at that stark white window for 15 minutes, as if willing it to change. It didn't. The call the next day confirmed it. The transfer failed. I wasn't pregnant. I thanked the nurse, hung up the phone, and collapsed onto the bathroom floor. Grief hit me like a freight train. Not because I lost a baby, but because I lost the maybe. I lost the version of me who believed this could finally be easy. That all the heartbreak had led me here. For a reason. I didn't cry right away. I just lay there, hand on my stomach, wondering what I did wrong. I knew the statistics. I knew the odds. But when your whole heart is in something, numbers don't matter. Loss is loss. After a while, I stood up, rinsed my face, and made tea. Because that's what you do. You keep going, even when you don't know how. even when it feels like the universe has mistaken your strength for invincibility. You go on. I still had 3 embryos left, 3 chances, but that night I didn't think about them. I just sat in the quiet, wrapped in a blanket, sipping tea that had long gone cold. And for the first time since I started this journey, I let myself wonder, what if this doesn't work? What if I go through all of this and still end up alone? What if this dream, the one I waited so long to chase, is never mine? I didn't have answers, only questions, only quiet. Only me. But that, I decided, would have to be enough. For now. It was a Tuesday when the letter came. Not an email, not a text, a real letter. Handwritten, folded neatly into a cream-colored envelope with no return address. I almost threw it away. I was sorting mail by the trash can, flipping through coupons and credit card offers, when my name caught my eye, written in familiar handwriting I hadn't seen since high school. I froze. I knew that slant, that neat, calculated loop in the S of my name. I opened it slowly, cautiously, like the paper might bite. The moment I unfolded the first line, my breath caught. I've started this letter at least 20 times and I still don't know if you'll even read it. But if you are, hi, it's me. It's Noah. Noah. I hadn't said that name in years. Not out loud. Not since we were 17 and kissing behind the bleachers, swearing we'd find our way back to each other after college. He was my first everything. First kiss, first heartbreak, first real soul-deep love. We had broken up the summer after senior year when he got his Marine Corps acceptance, and I started college in a different state. We promised to write, promised to visit, but life moved too fast, and I never heard from him again. Until now. I kept reading. I've looked for you more times than I can count. I wasn't even sure you kept your last name. Every once in a while I'd find someone with your name on social media and click, heart in my throat hoping it was you, but it never was. After high school, I served 12 years in the Marines, traveled more than I expected, came home to North Carolina, married a woman named Dana. We had 2 beautiful daughters. For a while, I thought life was good. But she got sick, cancer. It was fast, brutal, and there's no sugarcoating it. It broke me. I kept going because of the girls, because they needed me. But I never stopped wondering where you were, what your life looked like, whether you were happy. And I know this is probably selfish. But after Dana passed, I hired someone to find you. I had to try again, even if it was too late. If you don't want to hear from me again, I'll understand. But if some part of you remembers who we were, if there's even a spark left, I'd like to see you. At the bottom was a phone number and a small note. The girls are 5 and 7. Their names are Mia and Eliza. They'd love you. I sat on the kitchen floor and wept. Not because I was sad, but because for the first time in years, someone reached for me. Not out of guilt, not out of obligation, but out of memory, out of love. I waited a day to call, not because I didn't want to, but because I needed to collect myself. When I finally dialed, my heart thundered like a teenager again. He answered on the second ring. Hello? The moment I heard his voice, I was 17 again, barefoot in the summer grass, laughing so hard my stomach hurt, falling in love with the boy who used to write my name in the margins of his notebook. Noah? I said softly. He didn't speak for a second, just a breath, a pause, a hush like the world stopped turning. Then, oh my God, it's you. We talked for 3 hours that night, and the next night, and the one after that. He sent me a photo of the girls, Mia with a head full of curls and a gap-toothed grin, Eliza with solemn eyes and paint-stained hands. They were beautiful. He was beautiful, not in the same boyish way from high school, but something deeper, wiser, weathered, real. We met in person a week later at a small park outside Charleston. I brought iced tea. He brought flowers. And when I saw him, standing beside the slide with Mia perched on his shoulders, I felt something inside me snap back into place. He smiled when he saw me, the same crooked, bashful grin that made me fall in love the first time. And just like that, it wasn't awkward. It wasn't complicated. It was like coming home. The girls ran to me like they already knew me. By the end of the hour, Eliza was holding my hand. Mia was showing me how high she could climb. And Noah just watched me with that same look he used to give me behind the gym after school, like I was magic. We started slow. Dinners once a week, park days, ice cream runs. The girls called me Miss Sarah for the first few months, then just Sarah. And then one day a year later, Mom. It slipped out of Mia's mouth while I was helping her with her shoelaces. She said it like it had always been true, and somehow it felt that way. We got married a year later. A quiet backyard ceremony. Just a few close friends, the girls tossing flower petals, and Noah looking at me like he never stopped loving me. Because he hadn't. And neither had I. I had waited so long for someone to choose this life. A family, a home, a heart full of small hands and bedtime stories and love that didn't come with conditions. And finally, I had it. Not with the man I spent 10 years trying to change, but with the one who saw me clearly from the very beginning. Have you ever had to let go of someone you once called family, just to come home to yourself? If you're comfortable, I'd love to hear from you. Let me know where you're watching from and simply share your story. This space was created for confession stories, quiet strength, and hearts that are still learning how to heal. If that speaks to you, please like and subscribe to this channel. There's more here for you, more truth, more softness, and more stories that understand you.